So you got your start kind of around 2016-ish with that documentary with Viggo Mortensen narrating that, but that is not out. And we had a long conversation about why that got removed. How did that kind of come together? Like, there's a really interesting story to how that came together.
I had a political awakening like most people in 2016. I lived pretty ignorant to the world around me. I skipped class at one point to work on a script, and I decided to watch the debate because I'd been hearing about Bernie Sanders. I could tell you even before like he was even on the register, like the moment he announced when he was probably 3% chance of beating Hillary, he was completely unknown by most people. My friend had showed me this very politically savvy guy, a bumper sticker for Bernie Sanders, like, oh, you got to watch this guy. He's going to be big, but it completely left my mind. So when I saw these debating, I decided to watch it. And it just definitely, like a lot of people had radicalized me. I'm not embarrassed to admit that, but more so from a filmmaker standpoint, I was looking for a project to make. And when you have no budget, you really have two options, in my opinion, in film school, if you want to try to get something off the ground. On no budget, you either got horror or documentary. Horror has always been the traditional path for most people. But when I started looking at the world we were living, I realized the horror movie was happening around me. I couldn't conceive anything more terrifying than, as Max Blumenthal said, Nurse Cratchit getting the nuclear codes, which would be Hillary Clinton. So, you know what I mean? That's what he said. It was like, so once I looked, mass incarceration, I mean, all these things that election brought up a lot, it stirred up a lot of stuff that we had kind of overlooked, not just Hillary Clinton, I think beyond her, of these just horrific acts against humanity that, these war criminals and mass murders that these ruling classes, that when that came together, I saw that the convention was going to be happening in Philadelphia, and I've been following the whole primary and everything. And like, I know Philly really well. Like I was homeless in Philly for a while. Like I know how to get around Philly, and the fact that it was going to be there, and then it brought to light sort of the last really big primary like that, which is what inspired Medium Cool. I knew that I could get around Philly pretty easily. So I got the best camera guy I knew, and I said, I will pay you, I pay for your plane ticket, and I'll get us somewhere to sleep. But beyond that, when you're in film school, that's the time to ask for those kind of favors or those kind of projects, because once people get out, their rates begin, then real life begins, and they have to start charging you real money, right? So I knew that I could get this guy for a pretty fair deal. So I flew him out there, and I had people out there that put us up and everything. I mailed myself drugs, just for when I'd have them, because I knew I was going to be on my feet a lot. So I made sure I had proper necessities to be able to go 12, 14 hours. It was blistering hot. And so, we shot the whole thing, right? Like that was when I fell in love with the style of how we make movies now. Like at that time though, I didn't realize it wasn't really like done with any kind of strategy, but this is how me and Mark make movies now. But I basically just took the best camera guy I knew and was like, I'm going to take you to all these places where shit's going to be happening. Cause I knew what the rallies were, and I had been in touch with Jill Stein and Cornel West and some people. So I knew like where things were going to be happening. At this time though, the reason I made this movie was there was not an independent leftist. Now if you throw a stapler out your window, you could hit like 5 leftist podcasters, right? Like your butcher, the guy who sells you your blunts, and probably like the guy at the local Dunkin' Donuts all as a leftist podcast, right? At that time though, the Young Turks was all there was. There was no Tim Black, wasn't even that much of a thing. Like there was no Vanguard, all these goofy bread tubers. They didn't exist back then. I swear to God, it was only the Young Turks. So as a filmmaker, it's like you only want to be filming something you don't because you think that it needs to exist. And I was like, no one is going to film what's really happening in Philly this weekend. I knew shit was going to be really crazy. I was in the communication with a lot of people online. I knew people were pissed off and were flying there. If you were in any face group at that time, you knew there was going to be a ton of different kinds of people there. But you knew the media was not going to show what was going on because of what had happened during the primary. That's when I really realized how much the media is a scam, is how they treated Bernie during that and how much they were in the pocket of Clinton. So for me, it was like, we're going to film the truth was like my idea. So I'm going to take you where everything is, and we're going to see how it's really being filmed by the media to what we're actually documenting.